Then His Majesty said to them, "This daughter of mine, Queennefertitidocumentary Hatshepsut, may she live, I have appointed as my successor upon my throne. She shall direct the people in every sphere of the palace. It is she indeed who shall lead you. Obey her words, unite yourselves at her command." The royal nobles, the dignitaries, and the leaders of the people heard this proclamation of the promotion of his daughter, the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. Makher, may she live eternally. Hatshepsut's last dated attestation as pharaoh is year 23 Parrot, day 2, c. 22 May 1459 BC. But the reign length of 21 years and 9 months for her by Manetho in Josephus's book Contra Bionum indicates that she ceased to reign in year 22, c. 1458 BC. The precise date of the beginning of Thutmose III's reign as sole ruler of Egypt and presumably of Hatshepsut's death is considered to be year 22. 2 Parrot, day 10, recorded on a single stela erected at Armant, corresponding to January 16, 1458 BC. This information validates the basic reliability of Manetho's king list records since Hatshepsut's known accession date was Ishimu. Day 4. Hatshepsut began constructing a tomb when she was the great royal wife of Thutmose II. Still, the scale of this was not suitable for a pharaoh. So when she ascended the throne, preparation for another burial started. For this, KV-20, originally quarried for her father, Thutmose I, and probably the first royal tomb in the Valley of the Kings, was extended with a new burial chamber. Hatshepsut also refurbished her father's burial and prepared for a double interment of both Thutmose I and her within KV-20. Therefore, it is likely that when she died no later than the 22nd year of her reign, she was interred in this tomb along with her father. However, during Thutmose III's reign, a new tomb, KV-38, was constructed along with fresh burial equipment for Thutmose I. Thus, Thutmose I was relocated from his original tomb and reburied elsewhere. There is a possibility that at the same time, Hatshepsut's mummy was moved into the tomb of her nurse, Sider in KV-60. These actions could have been motivated by Amenhotep II, Thutmose III's son from a secondary wife, in an effort to secure his own uncertain claim to the throne, besides what was recovered from KV-20 during Egyptologist Howard Carter's clearance of the tomb in 1903. Other funerary furniture belonging to Hatshepsut has been found elsewhere, including a lioness throne or bedstead, a Senate game board with carved lioness-headed, red jasper game pieces bearing her pharaonic title, a signet ring, and a partial Shabti figurine bearing her name. In the royal mummy cache at DB320, a wooden canopic box featuring an ivory knob was found, bearing the name of Hatshepsut and containing a mummified liver or spleen, along with a molar tooth. There was also a royal lady with the same name from the 21st dynasty, leading to initial speculation that the artifacts may have belonged to her instead. In 1903, Howard Carter had discovered tomb KV-60 in the Valley of the Kings. It contained 2 female mummies, one identified as Hatshepsut's wet nurse and the other unidentified. In spring 2007, the unidentified body, called KV-60A, was finally removed from the tomb by Dr. Zahi Hawass and taken to Cairo's Egyptian Museum for testing. This mummy was missing a tooth, and the space in the jaw perfectly matched Hatshepsut's existing molar, found in the DB320 canopic box. Based on this, Hawass concluded that the KV-60 mummy is very likely Hatshepsut, while the mummy and the tooth could be DNA tested to see if it belonged to the same person and confirm the mummy's identity. Hawass, the Cairo Museum, and some Egyptologists have refused to do it as it would require destroying the tooth to retrieve the DNA. Her death has since been attributed to a benzopyrene carcinogenic skin lotion found in possession of the pharaoh, which led to her having bone cancer. Other members of the queen's family are thought to have suffered from inflammatory skin diseases that tend to be genetic. Assuming that the mummy is that of Hatshepsut, it is likely that she inadvertently poisoned herself while trying to soothe her itchy, irritated skin. It also would suggest that she had arthritis and bad teeth, which may be why the tooth was removed. However, in 2011, the tooth was identified as the molar from a lower jaw, whereas the mummy from KV60 was missing a molar from its upper jaw, thus casting doubt on the supposed identification. Hold queen status. Her reign, especially after, was disregarded and even erased. Her reign could be considered more successful than some pharaohs' reigns, for example with expanding borders, which can be seen as a threat to traditional gender roles. This raises questions about the conflict between power and traditional gender roles, and to what extent modernism and conservatism overlap. The erasure of Hatshepsut's name by the men who succeeded her for whatever reason almost caused her to disappear from Egypt's archaeological and written records. When 19th century Egyptologists started to interpret the texts on the Deir el-Bahari temple walls, which were illustrated with two seemingly male kings, their translations made no sense. Jean-François Champollion, the French decoder of hieroglyphs, said, "If I felt somewhat surprised at seeing here, as elsewhere throughout the temple, the renowned Moeris adorned with all the insignia of royalty, giving place to this Amenendi Hatshepsut, for whose name we may search the royal lists in vain." Still more astonished was I to find upon reading the inscriptions that wherever they referred to this bearded king in the usual dress of the pharaohs, nouns and verbs were in the feminine, as though a queen were in question. I found the same peculiarity everywhere. This problem was a major issue in late 19th century and early 20th century Egyptology, centering on confusion and disagreement on the order of succession of early 18th dynasty pharaohs. The dilemma takes its name from confusion over the chronology of the rule of Queen Hatshepsut and Thutmose I, II, and III.